The settlement conference ends at exactly 3:47 on a Tuesday afternoon in downtown Dallas. I know the precise time because I watch my marriage officially die while staring at the conference room clock, counting the seconds until my lawyer stops talking about asset division and custody arrangements. 7 months ago, I spent one night with someone who meant nothing. Today, I sign papers that prove it cost me everything that ever mattered. My husband Richard sits across the mahogany table, looking through me like I'm furniture. Not angry anymore, not hurt, just absent. His lawyer slides another document across the glossy surface. Primary custody to Richard. Supervised visitation for me. Every other weekend. Pending completion of court-ordered therapy. These terms are non-negotiable, Richard's lawyer states. Given the circumstances of the infidelity and subsequent behavior— Just tell me where to sign, I interrupt. My voice sounds hollow, like an echo of the woman who used to laugh at Richard's terrible dad jokes, who used to slow dance with him in our kitchen while our daughters slept upstairs. Richard doesn't flinch at my voice anymore. He used to know every tone, every mood, every meaning behind my sighs. Now I'm just background noise in the story of his life, the villain who destroyed their happy ending for 4 hours of nothing. But I should start from when I was still the hero of my own story. When I was Amanda Garrett, 35 years old, married for 11 years to the only man I'd ever loved, mother to Emma and Sophia, living in a colonial house in Highland Park that smelled like Richard's cologne and our daughter's strawberry shampoo. Richard wasn't perfect. Let me be clear about that from the beginning. He worked too much, forgot anniversaries, left his socks everywhere but the hamper. But he loved with his whole heart, the kind of love that made you feel safe even when the world was falling apart. He'd wake up early every Saturday to make Mickey Mouse pancakes for the girls. He'd text me bad jokes during hospital board meetings just to make me smile. He'd still look at me after 11 years like I was the girl he met at a medical conference in Houston, young and nervous, and desperate to pretend I belonged there. "You're the most beautiful woman in this room," he'd whispered at the hospital fundraiser 6 months before I destroyed us. "Every man here is jealous of me." "You're biased," I'd laughed, smoothing his tie. "Completely," he'd agreed. "Permanently, hopelessly biased in favor of my wife." The fundraiser was for the new cardiac wing. Richard, chief of cardiology at Presbyterian, had worked 2 years on the project. I stood beside him as donors wrote checks, playing the perfect doctor's wife, charming, supportive, elegant in the dress he'd surprised me with the week before. "Amanda makes all this possible," Richard told anyone who'd listen. "I save hearts. She saves me. It was our joke, our truth. Right up until it wasn't." The problem started 3 months later. Richard's hours got longer as the new wing opened. 12-hour days bled into 16. Weekends vanished into emergency surgeries. The girls started asking why Daddy missed their soccer games, their school plays, their bedtime stories. "He's saving lives," I'd explain, tucking them in alone again. "That's what heroes do." "Are we not important enough to save?" Sophia asked one night, 7 years old and too perceptive for her own good. I didn't have an answer that would satisfy her, didn't have an answer that satisfied me either. The loneliness crept in slowly, then all at once. Richard would come home after midnight, shower, fall into bed without a word. I'd wake up reaching for him, finding empty space or a back turned away. We became roommates raising children, logistics partners managing schedules. The man who used to kiss me like he was drowning, and I was air now, pecked my cheek absently while reading patient charts. "I miss you," I told him one morning, catching him before he left. "I'm right here," he said, not looking up from his phone. "No," I said quietly, "you're not." He promised things would calm down. After the wing was fully staffed. After the research grant came through. After, always after. I believed him because I wanted to, because 11 years of happiness should count for something. Then came the pharmaceutical conference in Austin. I almost didn't go. Emma had a cold. Sophia was struggling with math, and leaving them with Richard's mother felt selfish. But my best friend Diane convinced me. "When's the last time you did something just for you?" she asked. "You're disappearing, Amanda. Go. Remember who you are outside of being a wife and mother." So I went. 3 days in Austin, representing my small medical consulting firm, pretending I was the ambitious woman I'd been before trading conference rooms for carpool lanes. Christopher was at the hotel bar, waiting for a colleague who never showed. British accent, pharmaceutical sales, wedding ring that caught the light when he raised his whiskey. We talked about nothing. The conference, the weather, how American portions were absurdly large, safe topics for married people killing time. "Let me guess," he said after his third drink. "Husband's a doctor. Probably cardiac or neuro. They're the worst for work hours. You're here remembering what it's like to be seen as more than someone's wife." "That's presumptuous," I said, but he wasn't wrong. "I recognize the look," he said. "My wife has it too. The loneliness of loving someone who's married to their career." We talked until the bar closed. He walked me to my room, paused at my door. I should have said goodnight. Should have thought about Richard, about the girls, about the 11 years of trust I was about to shatter. Instead, I thought about how long it had been since someone looked at me like I was worth wanting. "This is a terrible idea," I said, keycard in my hand. "Absolutely terrible," he agreed. I opened the door anyway. The hotel room was generic, impersonal, beige walls, corporate art, a bed that would witness the end of my marriage. Christopher kissed me the moment the door closed, and it was different from Richard's kisses. Hungry or desperate, empty of history or promise. Just two lonely people using each other as band-aids for wounds that needed surgery. "Tell me about him," Christopher said after, while I stared at the ceiling trying to feel something other than immediate regret. "Why?" "Because you're already regretting this and I want to know what I'm competing with." "You're not competing. This was just what? Just two married people pretending we're not destroying our lives?" I turned to look at him then, this stranger who'd been inside me 20 minutes ago. His wedding ring was on the nightstand next to mine. When had I taken it off? The pale band of skin on my finger looked like a scar. "He's a good man," I said quietly. "The best man. He saves lives every day and comes home exhausted, but still remembers to ask about my day. He makes our daughters Mickey Mouse pancakes every Saturday. He can't dance, but does it anyway because I love it. My voice broke. "He thinks I'm at a conference learning about medical billing software. And instead, you're here?" "Instead, I'm here." Christopher left at 4 in the morning, kissing my forehead like we were lovers, instead of two people who'd just detonated our lives for orgasms that weren't even that good. I showered for an hour, trying to wash away his cologne, his touch, the sound of my name in his accent. But guilt has a way of seeping deeper than soap can reach. I threw up twice before the morning sessions, blamed it on the minibar wine when colleagues asked if I was okay. Sat through presentations on coding updates and reimbursement rates while my phone buzzed with texts from Richard. "Hope the conference is going well. Girls miss you. Emma lost another tooth. Tooth fairy coming tonight. Love you. Can't wait to have you home." Each message was a knife between ribs, twisting deeper. I excused myself during lunch, locked myself in a bathroom stall, and sobbed until my ribs ached. A woman in the next stall asked if I needed help. "I'm fine," I lied. "Just missing my family." "First time away from the kids?" she asked kindly. "It gets easier." But she was wrong. It got harder. Every minute became an eternity of knowing what I'd done, of carrying this secret that grew heavier with each breath. I couldn't eat, couldn't focus, couldn't stop checking my phone to make sure Christopher hadn't somehow contacted Richard. But guilt doesn't bury easily. It surfaced in my skin, my voice, my inability to meet Richard's eyes when I got home. He was distracted by work, didn't notice how I flinched when he hugged me, how I over-explained everything about the conference. "Glad you had a good time," he said absently, already scrolling through emails. "The girls missed you," I almost told him then. Almost confessed just to release the pressure building in my chest. But Emma ran in with a drawing she'd made. Our family, 4 stick figures holding hands. And I swallowed the truth like poison. 2 weeks passed. I convinced myself it was over, a moment of madness that would fade. Richard and I fell back into our routine. Brief morning conversations, logistics texts, exhausted goodnights. If our marriage was already broken, what did one night matter? Then the email came. Christopher had found my company website, my professional headshot, my direct contact. "Can't stop thinking about Austin. My marriage ended last month. If yours is ending too, perhaps we could explore this properly." I stared at the screen, nauseous. He'd left his wife. Or she'd left him. Either way, he was offering something I couldn't want. A future built on 4 hours of lies. I deleted the email, blocked the address, tried to forget. But secrets are like cancer. They grow in darkness, poison everything they touch. I became paranoid, checking Richard's phone when he slept, wondering if he somehow knew. I picked fights about nothing, needing him to be the villain so I wouldn't have to be. "What's wrong with you lately?" he asked after I exploded about him missing dinner again. "You're acting like I'm the enemy." "Maybe you are," I snapped. "Maybe if you were home more, I wouldn't feel like a single parent. That's not fair. You know why I'm working these hours. For the girls? For me? Or for your ego?" He looked at me then, really looked at me for the first time in months. "Amanda, what's really going on?" I should have told him. Should have confessed and begged forgiveness and tried to rebuild. Instead, I did what cowards do. I blamed him. "I'm drowning, Richard. I'm alone in this marriage, and you don't even see it." "Then let me see it," he said, reaching for me. "Talk to me." "We can fix this." But I didn't want to fix it. I wanted to be right. Wanted my loneliness to justify my betrayal. So I pulled away, let him blame himself, watched him try harder while I grew colder. A month later, I forgot to clear my browser history. Richard rarely used my laptop, but his was updating and he needed to check a patient file. Such a small thing, a routine moment that ruptured everything. He must have clicked the wrong bookmark, must have seen the email website I'd forgotten to close. I was making dinner when he walked into the kitchen, laptop in his hands, face carved from stone. "Who's Christopher?" he asked quietly. The knife slipped from my hand, clattering on granite. "What?" "British pharmaceutical rep. Says he can't stop thinking about Austin." His voice was calm, too calm, measured like he was scrubbing in for surgery. "Says his marriage ended, and wonders if yours is too." "Richard, when?" The word came out sharp, surgical. "When did you sleep with him?" I could have lied, could have denied, deflected, demanded to know why he was invading my privacy. Instead, faced with his eyes, confused, hurt, beginning to understand, the truth spilled out. The conference. Just once. It meant nothing. Nothing. He set the laptop down carefully, like it might explode. "You threw away our marriage for nothing." "We don't have a marriage." The words erupted, years of resentment finally finding voice. "We have a scheduling arrangement." "You're never here, never present. I'm raising our girls alone while you play hero at the hospital." "So you fucked someone else?" His voice broke on the profanity. Richard never swore. "That's your solution?" It wasn't a solution. It was a mistake. "When were you planning to tell me?" "I wasn't." The honesty felt surgical, cruel, but necessary. It was one night, 4 hours. I was going to take it to my grave. He laughed then, bitter and broken. 4 hours? 11 years for 4 hours? "Richard, please. We can work through this. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want. What I want? He looked at me like I was a stranger. I wanted a wife who wouldn't betray me the first time she felt lonely. I wanted the mother of my children to value our family more than 4 hours with some stranger. I wanted... He stopped, composed himself. I need to think. I'll stay at David's tonight. What about the girls? I'll tell them I have an early surgery. He paused at the door. Don't contact me unless it's about them. I need to figure out if I can ever look at you again without seeing you with him. The door closed softly, which somehow felt louder than a slam. Richard's anger was quiet, methodical, complete. The next morning, Emma asked where Daddy was. Hospital, I lied, scrambling eggs I couldn't eat. He's always at the hospital, Sophia said. Maybe that's why you're sad all the time. Out of the mouths of babes. Richard came home 3 days later, showered, packed a suitcase. The girls were at school, thank God. I followed him from room to room like a ghost, watching him fold shirts with the same precision he used in surgery. Say something, I begged. Scream at me. Throw something. Just react. What would that accomplish? He didn't look at me, just kept packing. Would it undo what you did? Would it erase the image of my wife with another man? I don't know. Maybe it would make me feel less like a monster. Your feelings aren't my responsibility anymore. He zipped the suitcase closed. You made that clear in Austin. It wasn't about you. Of course it was about me. The first crack in his composure. Everything in a marriage is about both people. When you're lonely, that's about me. When you're unhappy, that's about me. When you decide to fuck someone else... He stopped, composed himself. That's about me too. I was trying to hurt myself, not you. By destroying us? How surgical of you. Hurt yourself by putting a knife through my chest. He moved to the closet, pulling out his work clothes. His hands trembled slightly. The only sign this was affecting him. Richard's hands never trembled. He could perform microscopic surgery on infant hearts without a single shake. Do you want to know the details? I asked desperately. Would that help? God, no. He turned to face me then, and I saw the depth of his pain. Do you think knowing how he touched you would help? Knowing what you said to him, what sounds you made? I already can't sleep without imagining it. Don't make it worse. Then what do you want? I want my wife back. The one who would never... But she doesn't exist, does she? Maybe she never did. I'm still me. I made one mistake. One mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. One mistake is missing a school play. This? He gestured between us. This is a choice. Multiple choices. You chose to have drinks with him. Chose to go to your room. Chose to let him in. Chose to take off your wedding ring. Chose to... He stopped, running his hands through his hair. How many choices does it take before it stops being a mistake? I couldn't answer. The math was devastating. I've spoken to a lawyer, he said, returning to packing. I'll file on Monday. Irreconcilable differences, keep it simple. You can stay in the house until we sort custody. You're giving up? Just like that? You gave up first, he said. You gave up when you opened that hotel room door, when you decided our problems were worth less than a stranger's attention. Our problems are real. Were real, he corrected. Now they're just excuses you're using to justify destroying our family. That night, I had to tell the girls Daddy was staying somewhere else for work. Emma, 9 and trusting, accepted it easily. But Sophia, 7 going on 40, studied my face. Is it because you were crying in the bathroom last night? She asked. When did you... I heard you. Are you and Daddy getting divorced like Olivia's parents? No, baby. Daddy just needs to be closer to the hospital for a while. The lie tasted like acid. But how do you tell your children that Mommy broke their family? How do you explain that their stable world is collapsing because you spent 4 hours pretending to be someone else? He moved into a rental apartment near the hospital. Told the girls it was temporary just while Mommy and Daddy figured some things out. They believed him because they trusted us, because parents were supposed to protect them, not detonate their world for 4 hours of selfishness. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. Texas is a no-fault state, but infidelity affects custody, especially when the unfaithful parent unravels. Because I did unravel, completely and spectacularly. The first month, I tried to maintain normalcy. Woke the girls up for school, packed lunches with notes that said, "Mommy loves you," attended PTA meetings where other mothers whispered behind their hands. But the weight of what I'd done pressed down like a physical force. Started drinking wine at noon, just a glass to smooth the edges. Then 2, then the whole bottle. By month 2, I was adding vodka to my morning coffee, telling myself it helped me function. The school called when I showed up to pick up slurring words. "Mrs. Garrett, are you feeling all right?" the principal asked, guiding me to her office while another parent collected my girls. "I'm fine," I insisted, aware that I wasn't. "Just tired. You know how it is." "I do know," she said gently. "Which is why I'm going to call your emergency contact." "Is your husband available?" My husband. Still calling him that even though he'd been gone for weeks. "We're separated," I admitted. We're just call him." Richard arrived in scrubs, straight from surgery. He didn't look at me, just signed the girls out and took them home. His home. Not ours anymore. That night he texted, "The girls are staying with me this week. Get help, Amanda." But I didn't get help. I got worse. Stopped showing up to client meetings, lost 2 major accounts. Spent days in bed while the girls were at school, surrounded by empty bottles and wedding photos I couldn't stop staring at. In one, Richard was spinning me on the dance floor, both of us laughing at some joke I couldn't remember. We looked so happy, so permanent. "You need help," Diane said, finding me passed out on the couch while the girls were at Richard's. The house smelled like spoiled milk and regret. "This isn't about the divorce anymore. You're destroying yourself." "Good," I slurred. "I deserve it." "What about your girls? Do they deserve a mother who's drinking herself to death?" Richard used my deterioration in court, not cruelly, just factually. Presented evidence of missed school pickups, empty wine bottles, concerned texts from other parents. His lawyer argued I was unstable, that the girls needed consistency I couldn't provide. My lawyer didn't argue back because there was nothing to dispute. "I'm not trying to punish you," Richard told me after one hearing. "But I won't let your choices hurt them more than they already have." "I never meant—" "I know," he said. And for a moment I saw the man who'd loved me. But meaning and doing are different things. You taught me that. The worst part was watching him transform. The exhausted doctor who'd barely noticed me became hyper-focused on the girls, rearranging his schedule, hiring help, being present in ways he hadn't been before. My betrayal had woken him up, made him the father I'd always wanted him to be. Just not with me. "Daddy takes us to school now," Emma told me during one of my supervised visits. "And he learned to braid hair from YouTube." "That's wonderful, baby," I said, dying inside. "He says you're sick," Sophia added, always direct. "Are you going to get better?" How do you answer that? How do you tell your 7-year-old that mommy's sickness is self-inflicted, that the medicine is accepting what she's done, that some diseases can't be cured? Today, 7 months after Austin, I sign papers that make it official. Richard gets the house, the girls, the life we built together. I get supervised visits, a small settlement, and the knowledge that I'm the cautionary tale other wives whisper about at school pickup. "Any questions about the terms?" Richard's lawyer asks. "I have 1,000 questions. How do you explain to your daughters that mommy broke their family? How do you live with being the villain in your own story? How do you forgive yourself for trading 11 years for 4 hours? But those aren't legal questions, so I just sign where they tell me to sign. Richard stands when it's over, straightening his tie. The one I bought him last Christmas, back when I still had the right to touch it. The girls have soccer practice at 4. I'll have them call you tonight. Richard, wait. I stand too, needing something. Absolution, understanding, just acknowledgement that we once loved each other. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't matter now, but I need you to know. I'm so sorry. He looks at me for a long moment, and I see everything we were flash across his face. The young couple in Houston, the new parents terrified and thrilled, the partners who built a life worth envying. Then it's gone, replaced by a polite clinical distance. I know you are, he says quietly. So am I. He leaves first. His lawyer follows. Mine packs up papers that dissolve 11 years into divided assets and custody schedules. I sit in the empty conference room, staring at the chair where my husband became my ex-husband, where my choices became consequences. 4 hours in Austin, that's what it cost. My marriage, my children, my home, my identity as someone who would never, could never, didn't. The hotel room I can barely remember became the most expensive night of my life, paid in increments of Emma asking why Daddy lives somewhere else, and Sophia crying because Mommy can't tuck her in every night. My phone buzzes. A text from Richard. Girls want to know if you're coming to Emma's recital Thursday. It's at 6 inches. I'll be there, I type back, knowing I'll sit in the back, knowing other parents will whisper, knowing Richard will sit in the front with his sister or mother, or maybe someday soon someone new who won't throw away love for loneliness. 7 months since one night became forever. 7 months since I learned that some mistakes can't be undone, that some trust can't be rebuilt, that some men can't forgive what some women can't undo. 7 months since I became the woman who had everything and traded it for nothing, who broke her own heart by breaking his first. The parking garage is dark, my car alone in its corner. I sit behind the wheel, looking at my naked ring finger, at the indentation that proves something used to be there. 11 years of morning coffee and bedtime kisses and knowing someone would always choose you. Gone for 4 hours I spent trying to feel important to someone who didn't matter. Richard will remarry. He's too good not to find someone who'll appreciate what I took for granted. She'll make Mickey Mouse pancakes with him and cheer at soccer games and slow dance in the kitchen I painted yellow because it caught the morning light. She'll be the mother my girls deserve when I'm not there, which is most of the time now. And me? I'll be the reminder that marriages don't always survive betrayal, that forgiveness has limits, that one night really can destroy everything. I'll be the reason they update their vows someday, promising to talk before they walk into someone else's hotel room, to choose each other especially when it's hard, to remember that some mistakes echo forever. 7 months since I learned that it meant nothing means everything, when nothing is all you have left.